All right, so if you look here, sentence on the top, a proportion is an equation that shows 2. The number 2. I don't know why I didn't write it. Number 2. 2 equivalent ratios. Okay? Doesn't show 3, doesn't show 4, it shows 2. One ratio equal to another ratio. So yesterday we did a lot of modeling. So just to get this down in note form, the ratio of girls to boys in this here, what would you say the ratio of girls to boys is? Caleb?
4 to 2.
4 to 2. 4 to 2. And he said the 4 first because it says girls to boys. Okay? And I'm just going to put 4G and 2B for boy. Not for any particular reason, but just to show, keep the order the same as what it asks for in the question. If it asks. If it just gives you numbers, then you can choose. Okay? We're going to separate these into 2 equal groups, similar to what we did yesterday. So we've got a boy in this group, a boy in this group, so we split 2 groups here. And I'm going to have a girl here, a girl here, a girl here, and a girl here. So I've got 2 groups now. 1 boy in each group, 2 girls in each group. So what is the ratio of of girls to boys in one of the groups now? What's the ratios of girls to boys in one of these groups? Joey?
1 to 2.
All the way around because girls is first, yep. 2 girls to 1 boy. So, if we make this a proportion, we have 2 different ratios here. We've got one that's 4 to 2 and one that's 2 to 1. And to make it a proportion, we need to, because we could split this into even groups, and it worked out having 2 girls in every group and 1 boy in every group, we can say 4 to 2 is equal to 2 to 1, which is a proportion. One way to check to make sure your proportions are this next thing. So I want to show you on the one we just did. Cross products. Do you know what a product is?
No.
What's a product?
Answer to a multiplication.
Answer to a multiplication. And cross, what do you think when it means cross? What do you think you're going to have to do?
Write a cross.
When it says cross, what do you think that might mean?
Like multiply them, like
Which ones am I going to multiply, do you think, when it says cross?
like 1 times 2 equals 2 and 2 times 2 equals 4.
Okay. Could be. You're close.
Be like
Times and both do something.
We're going to do some multiplication for sure. If I were to draw a line here and a line here, my lines cross, right? We're going to take the cross products. So 4 times 1 is going to be equal to 2 times 2. If that's true, you have a proportion. If when you multiply diagonally, 4 times 1 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Is that true?
Yes.
So, this is a proportion. So if somebody gives you 2 numbers and says, or 2 ratios, I should say, and says, are they proportionate? Are they a proportion? Just take and multiply across both ways and see if it's equal. If it's equal, you can say, yes, it's proportion. If not, you say, nope, it's not. Well, if you remember what my goal for today was that you could solve for a missing value in a proportion. There's an awesome shortcut to do this. Okay? 2 steps. You're going to use the same 2 steps every time. So we're going to do this one here first. 24 to 8 equals something to 2. Step 1 says multiply the numbers that are diagonal of each other. What numbers are diagonal in this one? 24 and 2. So my diagonal here, I'm going to multiply. There's my multiply. Multiply there. So 24 times 2 equals
48.
48, I heard. That's step 1. Step 2. Divide now by the number that's remaining. What's the only number left in here?
8.
8. So now you're going to do 48 divided by 8. And you can use calculators for these, but I think you probably know that one is 6.
I did it different.
So, hold on. So, let me divide there. In this case, n equals 6. Now, you may have been able to look at this and said, hey, that's 8 divided by 4 gives me 2. So 24 divided by 4 gives me 6. That's fine. But if you get numbers where you can't easily do that, then this trick will always work. Okay? Yes?
What if the division has a remainder?
Well, you're going to do it on your calculator, so you get a decimal then. You just write the decimal down. Okay? Unless it's really long, then you can round to a couple decimal points. I don't think any of them have remainders today. Okay? So let's do another one here, just to practice the same thing. What numbers are diagonal this time?
9 and 20.
9 and 20. So it does not matter where the missing number is. So 9 times 20 equals 180. And what number's left?
4.
Divide by 4. So 180 divided by 4 equals
6.
45.
I want to say 40.
45. So in this case, n equals 45.
This is what we have to do every time.
So if you're given a proportion with a missing number, you're going to cross multiply, divide to find the missing number. Okay? So that's the main thing you're going to do. Now, here is one special thing you got to remember. For whatever reason, mine split a big gap here, but using cross products with units. Double starred. The units need to be in the same order in both ratios. What that means, if you have, let's say, miles over hours, in your second ratio, you have to have miles over hours. You have to keep them the same. Miles both on the top, hours both on the bottom. If you want to put the hours both on top and the miles both on bottom, that's fine. But they have to be in the same location for both ratios. Okay? So, most often this is going to come from a story problem. Okay? All the ones that aren't story problems usually will give you the ratios already. So in a story problem, you decide you want to get a job. The boss tells you that they will pay you $4.25 for every 0.5 hours of work. If you work 3 hours, how much money will your boss pay you? Okay. So, let's set up a ratio. You're getting paid dollars per hour, right? So you're going to pay a certain amount of dollar per a certain number of hours. How many dollars are you getting paid?
425.
4.25. And how much time do you have to work?
3 hours.
0.5 hours. So 425 for every 0.5 hours. So there's our first ratio. My second ratio, what units are going to be on the top?
Do you think we can use our calculator?
425. I did it.
Dollars. What units are going to be on the bottom?
Hours.
Hours. Okay, so now we look at our last sentence. If you work 3 hours, how much money will your boss pay you? So is 3 hours going to go on the top or the bottom?
Bottom.
It's going to go on the bottom, so you put a 3 here. You are trying to solve, I'll just put an X here, for the money. You're going to do this exactly like we did the other ones. Multiply on the diagonal. What do you get? 4.25 times 3.
1275.
1275. Then we need to divide by divide now. So 1275 divided by 0.5. And yes, use your calculator. Who's got it? Ben, what'd you get?
25.5.
25.50. We're talking money. So you will get $25.50
But literally, you could have just done 6
for
times
3 hours of work. When it comes to your homework, what I want to see on every problem is the proportions that you're showing. So a proportion, for example, is 4 over 2 equals 8 over 4. That's a proportion. Okay? If you're solving for a missing variable, if you've got 4 over 2 equals 8 over n, you're going to write down this proportion first. You're going to solve it. And if you write down the work you did, great. And then you're going to say n equals 4. Okay? Some problems just ask you to take an initial number and write a proportion with it. Some numbers ask you to find a missing value. What questions do you have?